You are welcome to today's class. We'll be continuing our series on human nutrition, and today's lesson 18, is titled Food Production, Distribution, Pricing, and Effect on Consumption for Individuals and Families. Under this topic, we will be treating food nutrition or food production. We'll be talking about food distribution and pricing. We will see the impact of food production on consumption, and then we'll round up this particular topic. So let's dive into the material. Food production. Now, global agricultural policies influence what food is produced in many countries. Subsidies for staple crops like corn, wheat, and rice can lead to an oversupply of these items, thus reducing the economic viability of growing these fruits and vegetables. And so you see, global agricultural policies, it's the very being of what will probably be produced on a large scale in any country. And so if you don't provide subsidies for stable crops like corn, wheat, and rice, there will be an oversupply of these items, and it will reduce the economic viability of growing these fruits and vegetables. Now, the focus on high calorie, low nutrient crops contributes to the rising prevalence of diet-related diseases such as obesity and diabetes. A lot of persons go for high calorie foods, and then you have low nutrient crops, and this is giving rise to diet-related diseases. Under food distribution and pricing, food distribution systems are key to determining whether people will have access to nutritious food. So inadequate distribution channels, particularly in those rural areas, will definitely limit the food access, and then it will cause the food to be hot, and which will skyrocket the prices such that the people will not be able to afford those food prices. In terms of food pricing, this as influenced by subsidies and tariffs, impact what families can afford. When there are no subsidies, or perhaps the tariffs are so high, maybe on the imports or the supply chain, it will affect the affordability or the pricing of this food, and such that families will not be able to afford it. It takes a lot to bring in the fruit into that community. The people will have to pay for the higher cost. Bribery on the highway, charges, tariffs, all this the businessman will add to the entire cost of production and supply. And that will lead to higher price that may not be affordable by families. Processed foods tend to be cheaper than fresh produce in many regions. And this also is contributing to poor dietary choices. Why go to buy fresh fruit when the processed one is more cheaper compared to the one coming from the farm? It's not logical. And so you would prefer to get the one that was produced, the ones that have been processed from the factory, than the one that is coming from the farm. So it is important that we understand these differences, because it will contribute to poor dietary choices on the long run. Next is the impact on consumption. The impact on consumption. High food prices and poor access to healthy foods often result in low-income families consuming a diet high in processed and fast foods. When these high food prices are available, and then you have poor access to healthy foods, You want healthy food, you cannot access it. Okay, it is available, but they don't have the money to buy it. This will often result in low-income families consuming food diets that are, processed because it is cheaper, and fast food because you can just, with your little amount, buy a portion, eat, and then you move on, which are linked to obesity, cardiovascular diseases, and other chronic conditions. As you all know, a hustler will naturally tell you that it is cheaper going to a canteen or a side road vendor to just buy food. Because if he has to cook that food, or he has to buy that food, or he has to prepare it himself, it will be times 10, probably the price he has just spent in buying that food he just ate from the food vendor. That processed food or the fast food is cheaper. Now, policies promoting healthier food options such as subsidies for fruits and vegetables could help mitigate this effect. Bring in the fruits, but make them cheaper so that the people will be able to afford it and not good for the processed foods. And so we have come to the end of this lecture. And I hope that you've gained one or two things: understanding the dynamics of food production, its distribution, pricing, and the effect on consumption for individuals and families. And so it is important that you also read more on your textbook. You can use the preventive and social medicine textbook. You can also use the textbook of public health and community medicine. You can use the nutrition in public health principles, policies, and practice. You can see that online. And the nutrition and disease management for veterinary technicians and nurses, you can find them online. So read, make up your notes, and also remember that if you have any question, ask on the Google Classroom comment section under that particular video, and I will respond to it when we meet in class. Thank you. See you in the next video.